is one meeting on Monday, or is this your first meeting of the week?
First meeting of
This
the
might
week,
be-
however, we did have our audit meeting on Monday.
Oh, nice.
And we'll bring Mike up to speed on that. That's strictly to meet with the auditor.
Oh, okay.
And I just left that on, Janaea.
Oh,
but-
okay, so it's already on?
Yeah, if we're gonna be a few minutes, we can turn it off
Okay.
again. You have a preference, Mike?
Okay, we'll call this meeting to order. Pledge allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we'll start out with public comment, public here, so we'll start with commissioners update.
Weed board meeting, LAPC, audit report, just business as usual.
I had Board of Crime Control last week, e-government services that we're trying to protect for counties, community development meetings, and boy, I've forgotten a bunch of them. And we'll talk about some updates in the meetings. I think that's all I have.
Okay. There's some mail here, this is the volume distribution worksheet from the Forest Service for Lewis and Clark Forest, Gallatin, Custer Gallatin County, and the Beaverhead Deer Lodge timber sales. Letter for OSHA seminars, Fred Pryor seminars. One-day updates. Accounting department memo that was sent to all department heads to get the year-end fiscal claims done no later than Friday, July 27th. Make sure you know what year you're spending the budget with, 17-18 or 18-19.
Is that, your claim was July instead of June? Is it,
No later than Friday, July 27th. That's when the claims need to be submitted no later than Friday, July 27th, 2018. All invoices incurred during the month of June 2018.
So, Franklin, this is the way we've always done it, and Mike, just for your understanding, the reason it is in July and not June is, obviously, if you did it June 27th, you still have 3 days of June
Yeah.
that you'd be collecting invoices. But also, it takes a couple of days to put an invoice together and to put that together for payment. That's why accounting gives people a couple of weeks. Some people don't submit their bills, but after, like 2 weeks after a service is provided, well, if the service is provided June 27th and you don't get the bill until July 10th, it makes it impossible to put it
Yeah.
in with June. So they give a leeway of about a month for those late billers, for putting things together and for making sure that everything is covered. That it's nothing new,
This also goes with that
the Forest
report from
Service.
from the Forest Service. This is a letter from the Compensation Board. Compensation Board members are proposing a 2.1% CPI COLA for the fiscal year 18-19 for all elected officials. Propose that all employees in Broward County also receive the 2.1 CPI COLA. And there's also a letter attached here from Wynn, says that he, based on cuts and freezes, that he doesn't feel that we should grant the raise.
And if, yeah,
grazing fees distributed to counties, and State of Montana Forest Reserve distributions. Rural Montana magazine will be in the commissioner's office. Let's see. We have memos from the accounting department for clarified telephone charges. Commissioners, senior citizens, and commissioners also from CenturyLink. This is a task order for the Department of Health and Human Services for our MCH grant we need to sign, Mental and Child Health Services. So we entertain a motion to approve the signing of said document.
That is a continuation of a 10-year grant, that's why it's called a task order, so I move that we sign the task order for fiscal year 19 for MCH with DPHHS.
I'll second.
Motion been made, second to sign said document, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same, motion carries. Let's see, then we have claims here. Payroll claims in the amount of $187,339.66.
I'll move we pay the payroll and stated amount.
Second?
Motion's been made, second to pay payroll and set amount, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. Another set of claims here.
187,339.66.
Claims in a total of $47,072.54.
47,000.
$72.54.
Okay.
I'll move, we pay the approved claims in the amount of $47,072.54.
I'll second.
Motion made, second to pay such claims and set amount, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. We have a credit application for the Parts City Auto Parts, the new parts supply store in town. Multiple departments want to take their business to the new auto parts store in town, so we need to sign this credit application.
I move we approve and sign the credit application for the new parts store in town.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded to sign credit application for Parts City Auto Parts. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. So where do we?
Print name, this one right?
Go here.
Yep.
Minutes to be approved from May 21st, 2018, and May 23rd, 2018.
Move to approve both the 21st and 23rd of May minutes as presented.
I'll second.
Motion been made and seconded to approve minutes from May 21st and May 23rd. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same, motion carries. Montana Association of Counties Workmen's Compensation Trust Policy. Is this just for review?
Yeah, that is, we have an audit done periodically, they've changed companies, so this is a new audit company for the work comp. You'll notice it states that we owe $10,000. That is an error, because if you go by this, Debbie and Michelle have put in quite a few hours reviewing this, because that just did not ring right with them. We got money back with our last audit, so a $10,000 deficit just did not ring true. They went through their employee by employee by employee, and what they found is somehow the report got the wrong information connected for each employee. So it states that one of our solid waste employees is actually a road operator. It states that our fair manager is actually a groundskeeper. So somehow they've got the jobs out of whack. Debbie and Michelle are in the process of working with Mako to get that corrected. I expect that we'll either see a zero balance or perhaps some money back.
Okay. So we wanna hang on to this or put that in
Still needs to go through the process, but yeah, we'll wanna hang on to it.
there? Okay, so that, oh, the only other thing is the contract with Blackfoot that I have. It's not upstairs in the office, and we need to try to get that signed. What that involves is the county signing off on the city lease because the water tower is located on county property, and they're leasing a site to Blackfoot for their tower. So we need to sign that contract.
And anything to improve our internet.
Okay. I'll get that from Cory and get it signed. So and that's all the mail we have. We have next. See, we're waiting on the discussion for the interlocal agreement, so we can go with some other stuff if we have.
We have an agenda here for tonight's meeting, and I would suggest that we just recess today's meeting. That way we can just have it
Okay.
continue on.
Okay.
There'll be some HR things, and I'll need one of those back, Franklin. We'll need,
I have one.
to
So.
discuss HR
Okay.
as well, and that'll be after.
Okay.
And yeah, and that'll be part of the closed door, a little bit more for tonight.
Want me to put time in the minutes for that meeting tonight, or?
Yeah, you could, it's, well, no, it's
No.
not really necessary because
Okay.
it's agended.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, okay.
We do have our annual water report for the silos here. Whoops, that's last year's. And basically what we do not need to do is fill it out, so that it can be given to DEQ. There's that, here's last year's, and, if you have any questions. Basically, the silos, because it's a public water supply, does water testing throughout the year, except for from October until April when it's closed. And that was a subject that we addressed with DEQ a couple of years ago. Give you those.
I entertain a motion to approve signing of this seasonal system startup form from,
I so move.
I'll second.
motion's made, second. Sign of public water supply program paperwork, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, same.
So did you move to make that motion or Laura? Did you,
Lower did.
okay.
Franklin second. Do we need to send last year's with it also or not?
Nope, I just wanted you to have that for reference.
Okay.
Nothing's changed too drastically out there this year.
No. We have a meeting with the BOR on the 20th,
Is it the 20th?
12th at 10 o'clock.
All
That's
right.
next Tuesday.
I couldn't remember when that was. 12th to 10th?
Yes.
Okay. Actually, I can get you a copy of that if you want.
Yeah.
All right, and I'm gonna put that down here since it's not really from today's meeting. I'll get you a copy of the one too that we signed today.
Okay. So, do you have a report on the audit?
I
Go
do.
over that real quick.
Yeah. Once again, this is actually at least the third year running, but I don't recall ever getting lower. But we got the highest audit rating that D&D gives, and Bob made a big deal of that, which I appreciated. Each year there is a finding, and what that is something that can be done better. Last year we had 6, and I won't go into those. This year we just had 2, so it's a great improvement. They're both with FEMA grants. And what happened is pretty simple. Accounting was actually taken out of the loop, just in error. But the FEMA grants we had for Deep Creek and Dry Creek both required matches. We did matches in kind, but even so, the FEMA accounts have to show the cash. So what we should do in the future is put an infusion of cash from, say, the road or bridge budget into that FEMA account, because we have a separate fund for the FEMA grants, and then pay the in-kind out of that. So that would be your labor, your hourly wage, your equipment use, your gas, that kind of stuff. So those were our only 2 findings. So Bob was quite clear that that was very small. And again, he got the highest audit rating possible. He was here, the meeting ended about 1:20, and he stayed until about 3 o'clock and worked with Debbie and Michelle and I on a bunch of different pieces of the budget. We did consider asking you to come back from Alaska, but we didn't. It was a good meeting. Let's see, big issue that he said is major for counties is the county's share of the PERS, which is the Public Employees Retirement System. Every county is carrying on their books their liability for PERS, and it's in statute. And so if we wanted to close Broadwater County, we would have to pay that liability, and it's $4.5 million. It's an interesting aside. It doesn't affect our budget really, and we're not planning on closing the county, so it's not anything we need to worry about. But I just thought it was really interesting. The most important thing we can do with the budget, according to Bob, is create an environment where people want to live and raise their families, and that equates to business growth and a healthy community. And that's two of our charges. Let's see. So that's the basics. I do wanna share a bit more when we have a bit more time, maybe at the end of the meeting or on Monday, about some of his suggestions for our
Okay.
budget.
Yeah,
And that was what was really valuable. We had a full house, and quite a few questions, most of the questions centered around road. How to get more money for road, how to do more with less for road. Any questions on the audit?
he didn't have any magic cures for us.
Well, he actually did, and that's what I wanna get into some depth
Okay.
with you on. Yeah, so it was a really good meeting. He's been good to us, and I think we've benefited from his guidance.
What's his last name?
Denning, so it's Denning, and he is with Denning and Downey, Downey CPAs. We signed a 3-year contract with them, so this is their
Okay.
last year on this contract, so we'll do an RFP. You don't need all this for the
Okay.
minutes, but yeah,
Okay,
sorry.
no, that's fine, no, that's good.
Mike, you got anything for us, or?
I got those lease documents that you need to sign, Mike,
Oh, yeah.
for the water
yeah.
tower, or water tower.
Is this for Blackfoot? Is this for
Blackfoot and for Verizon.
All right,
And they just need your signature. Do you want me to come back down this afternoon, or can you just give them to Cory?
I think we just give them to Cory, sign them and give them to Cory.
Okay, thank you.
yeah, thanks, I like your haircut, looks good. I will move that we sign the contracts with Blackfoot and Verizon for use of the city tower on county property.
Second.
Motion been made and second to side contract for Blackfoot and Verizon on City Tower, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same, motion carries.
No, at least I would. No, it's not,
Okay, 11:30. Discussion review interlocal agreement for solid waste landfill disposal services with Lewis and Clark County.
Good morning,
Good
Commissioners.
morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for putting me on your agenda today, I appreciate that. So the purpose of this is to request authorization, approval from you to begin or giving me the ability to talk to Lewis and Clark County about setting up an interlocal agreement for a year with Broadwater County to provide the solid waste disposal services. You are probably aware, but I think it's important to point out that Montana Code Annotated Section 711-102 states that the purpose of interlocal agreements is to permit local government units to make the most efficient use of their powers by enabling them to cooperate with other local governmental units on a basis of mutual advantage and thereby to provide services and facilities in a manner and pursuant to forms of governmental organization that will accord best with geographic, economic, population, and other factors influencing the needs and development of local communities. So that is what I wanted to talk to you about today, was just to begin some conversation with Lewis and Clark County. The Solid Waste Board did meet about 2 weeks ago, and their vote was to, and recommendation was to pursue an interlocal agreement with Lewis and Clark County for solid waste disposal service, and to do that for a year as a trial period to see how that goes. So what I have done in the process since then is I've driven a couple of different routes to determine the difference in mileage. And the first route that I drove was going through East Helena over to Wiley Drive, up Wiley to York Road, and then York Road to Lake Helena Drive? Yes. And then over to Deal Lane. And that particular route was an additional about 7.5 miles. And my concern with them driving that route was the traffic through East Helena. If we did this, I was just concerned about that. You know, Helena's getting larger, East Helena's getting bigger, everything is growing, and I would like to avoid as much traffic as possible. So what I did yesterday is I drove the route from Townsend. I turned at Spokane Creek, took Spokane Creek down to Canyon Ferry Road, drove Canyon Ferry Road over to Lake Helena Drive, and then up Lake Helena Drive to Deal Lane. And that is an additional 6 miles compared to their current route to Tri-County Landfill in East Helena. And I did notice on the Lake Helena Drive from Canyon Ferry up to York Road, there is a weight restriction. But I do understand that Lewis and Clark County has approved Broadwater County's use of that particular section of Lake Helena Drive, even though there's a weight restriction on it. They would allow the county to use that. And we're looking at, based on weight tickets that I've seen and tipping fees, we're making from 5 to 7 trips to the landfill a week. So, you know, it would be once, at the most twice a day, that we would use that road. And you miss although you go past those subdivisions on Spokane Creek Road and Canyon Ferry Road. Canyon Ferry Road is very wide. Those are all county or state highways that are maintained during the winter. There are a couple of bus stops on there, so there are some speed limit restrictions. Once we get onto Spokane Creek, I believe it was 60 miles an hour. And on Canyon Ferry Road, it was 60 miles an hour, and on Lake Helena Drive, it's 45. So, but the section of Lake Helena Drive from York Road up to Deal Lane, that is the same route that the City of Helena transfer trucks drive. So that road is fully capable. I thought someone might be concerned about the roundabout that's located at the intersection of Canyon Ferry Road and Lake Helena Drive, and I did take pictures yesterday. I have not had an opportunity to download them onto my computer. But what I did see is I saw a Helena Sand and Gravel truck and pup go through that roundabout, and there was also a truck and a big fifth wheel that went through that. So I don't think that there would be any concern with our transfer trailer truck driving through that roundabout. Once you enter that, you know, people are really good about yielding like they're supposed to there. They would have to go through that, you know, 3/4 of the way to get back onto Canyon Ferry Road. But Canyon Ferry Road is in really good shape. I thought that Spokane Creek Road was in really good shape. And that's the route that I would recommend that the county takes. And you don't have the stops, you don't have the stop lights like you would if you went through East Helena, down Wiley, and then up. And I didn't really like the intersection of Wiley Drive and York Road, because to your left, as you're going to the landfill, you're coming off of a corner there on York Road. That just concerned me a little bit. It's not a blind corner, but people do travel that road pretty fast. And I wouldn't like to see our truck out there and be the cause of an accident or anything, so.
Mary, just a quick question for you. The 6 miles additional for the preferred route, for, I assume that the interlocal would have the lower price, the $3 per ton lower price that they had quoted
Yes.
in the RFP.
Yes.
Would that pencil out to overall savings? Would that just be kind of a, even on both sides? Have you run the numbers
No,
on
I
that?
have not, thank
Okay.
you. Thank you, that's a great question. I can run those numbers and
Okay.
see what it comes out to. You know, I did talk to, I was up at the transfer station yesterday and did talk to them about maintenance and you know, the intervals for maintenance on the truck, the transfer truck that we use. And they are at, I believe it's every 400 hours. They do maintenance on that truck. It's not used, you know, it's only used to drive to East Helena and back. So they're not putting very many miles a day on that. An additional 12 miles, I honestly don't think it would have that big of an impact. One thing that I did do actually, and it was fortunate, is I followed one of the City of Helena transfer trucks into the landfill. And I know one of the concerns was about our drivers getting out and having to, you know, getting out at the scale and having to get their ticket. And so I actually stopped and talked to the driver. And he said it takes, you know, if he drives in and out and has to stop, it takes him an additional maybe 3 minutes to do that. There's no one there. It's all just a computer operated. You have to punch in your user number and it will spit out your ticket. One thing that Lewis and Clark County can do is they can put the tare weight of our truck in there. So the only thing that they would have to do is get out when they go over the scale when they enter the facility. So they wouldn't have to get out as they exited the facility because they would have our tare weight. So we would have our weight there, and they could even put in a price so that we knew how much that load was going to cost us. So that is one thing that I did look at while I was there. So it was fortunate it was fortuitous. So,
Excellent.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
So basically, you're looking for, just our blessing to, just to go talk to them and start the negotiations for an interlocal, or just to
Yes.
inform? Okay,
Yes, that's what I would like to do.
I support it,
Okay.
and I'd be happy to make a motion if that's what you want, Mr. Chairman.
Yes,
I would move that we support Mary pursuing an interlocal agreement with Lewis and Clark County for solid waste landfill disposal services.
I'll second.
motion been made and seconded to allow Public Works Director Mary to pursue an interlocal agreement conversation with Lewis and Clark County Solid Waste. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, that's there. Full name again. Landfill, what is it?
City, hey, Chris, what is the total name for Lewis and Clark County's landfill?
Yeah, it's just Lewis and Clark County
Landfill?
landfill.
Okay.
Do we have anything else here to discuss before we go to our closed door, or?
I just have a real quick FYI, and I'm glad Mary's here. I received a stack of letters from folks. I gave some of these away and have been talking with DEQ, but Two Brothers Recycling is doing the tire recycling in Winston. And the folks in the Winston neighborhood have sent a stack of letters. They're all the same.
Got the same ones that were in the email.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so basically, they are not allowed to collect any more tires because they haven't been licensed, and enforcement, Mike,
Yes.
is actually going to be pursuing a letter for them that they can no longer be transporting tires in. And
Mike.
I did not get his last name,
Oh,
I
okay.
get DEQ.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's Rieger, I'm sorry,
Rieger?
Reiger.
And he said he had worked with you, so it's nice to have an ace in the hole on this.
Yes.
Yeah. And then Rick Thompson is working on the licensure, and he said that it's still pending, but there will be an EA, at which time these folks can offer substantive comments. And he said oftentimes, the people who live there know the terrain that they just can't know. So he said those can have an impact. So just wanted to bring you up to speed that that is an issue. They're gonna be on the agenda on the 18th.
Okay.
And the EA will give them a chance for comment, and they will respond to every comment. They'll be responding to every single letter too that they received.
Okay.
And this is Two Tires will be responding?
Two Brothers.
I mean, Two Brother Tires?
DEQ will be responding.
Oh, DEQ, okay.
Yeah.
On June 18th.
Yeah. So just wanted to bring you up to speed on that.
So Mary, will DEQ enforcement go out on this?
They will. Typically, what they'll do is they'll go out and verify the complaint. So if I can offer some things here, before I left DEQ, this is one project that I had received and assigned out to staff. We had gone and visited site and realized they were already bringing tires in, and they can't do that, because it's considered storage, and it has to be licensed by DEQ. One thing that we told them that they could do is they could get, if it's just for now, they could get a recycling license for the storage aspect of it, but what DEQ would require is for them to stack those tires as a viable product. And based on that photo, they obviously haven't done that. So when I talked to Julie about that the other day, I told her to talk to Rick, and they would most likely send this up to enforcement. So.
No, these good people, does Winston, some of those people just have mailing addresses in Helen, right? This has an East Helena mailing address,
Yeah, the line is just north of Winston,
but their residence is actually Furman Lane.
right,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And Mary, are those comments on that DEQEA, are those restricted to local residents, or is it?
No, anyone can comment on an EA. What DEQ is required to respond to are substantive comments. So if they did not address an impact in the EA document itself, then typically what happens is they'll issue a draft EA for public comment to make sure they addressed the substantive issues, so the impact to human health and the environment. If there's something that they didn't address, or the way they addressed it was inadequate, that's what people can comment on. People can comment on anything. What DEQ will respond to are substantive comments. And those would be those impacts that they failed to or inadequately address in the EA. And so a copy of that EA should be coming to the commissioners as well as the county sanitarian. That's typically how that's done. I'm sorry, one more thing. And if anyone calls, they can also be added to that list of interested persons for a copy of the EA. So just so you know that, you can tell them to just call DEQ, and they can, if you have Rick's number, they can call the main line and get a hold of someone to be added to that too.
And the folks who wrote letters, they'll be added automatically, right?
They should be.
Okay,
Yes, they should be.
all right.
Yeah.
And Mark thought that would be a couple of months? Does that-
Yes,
Okay,
yes. It does take a while to write those documents.
sure, yeah. Takes a while to read them.
Yeah.
Does anybody have anything else then, or wanna
I think that's all for me.
probably recess until closed door at noon, and then Janae doesn't have to come back for that, right?
Right, and maybe if we could go ahead and close door now, we've got a lot to
Okay.
discuss.
Okay, we can do that.
Okay. Yeah, so
So
you're off
we'll
the hook.
Close the regular meeting, go to a closed door meeting.
Just that we adjourn for closed door,
Okay,
and what should be stated each time we do is that constitutionally, the rights of the individual far outweigh the rights of the public to know, and that's why we're doing closed door.
okay. So, yeah. That would be, do you want me to shut that off then as well? Thank you.
That would be great.
Okay.
Yeah, thank
Enjoy your
you.
afternoon.